Yes.
What is the medical advice of today?
Well, it's definitely not to tough it out. Not only is that dismissive of women's pain and their experience in pregnancy, but it's also dangerous. We know that ignoring fevers, especially in the first trimester where all the organs are forming, can lead to birth defects and neurodevelopmental issues. And so, I worry about pregnant women taking this advice blindly and not treating their fevers appropriately, and that causing bigger problems, especially in light of the fact that this recommendation is not based on any new emerging scientific data. That's what makes this highly unusual. This is rehashed, repackaged old data that has already kind of been debunked by better studies.
And are you worried that research in the future could potentially become political, or do you think that the medical community, is always been very good at being somewhat adversarial to each other in the review process? Do you think that that's going to stay, or as we look back in 3 to 5 years, we could start to see studies that do cherry pick certain results?
I think it remains to be seen. I can say in my career as a physician, this is unprecedented. This is the first time I'm seeing the FDA change recommendations based on nothing new changing with the science, but it almost seems like it's based on an opinion. As a woman, as a doctor that treats lots of women, especially in the first trimester of pregnancy, I think we've come a long way in medicine to acknowledge the experience of women and to stop undertreating their pain. And we need to continue to do better in that regard. And this seems like we're taking a few steps backward.
And when it comes to the last question, you're an OBGYN, you work very, very closely with women who are at this critical moment in their lives, their unborn babies' lives. And yet this idea, just the thought, and again, like I'm a guy, I know nothing about this, but an idea of seeing something in your cabinet that could potentially, the president says, could cause harm to your unborn child, that will have an impact going forward, right? It seems to be that the White House is touching on something very, very primal here that almost supersedes all of the nuance and all of the research that we're trying to talk about today, right?
Yeah, I think the mental load of pregnancy is so great. Every pregnant woman wants to do the best for their future child. And I think now that there's conflicting messaging coming from doctors across the board, and now what public health officials are saying, it's a really difficult position that we're putting pregnant women in. They're a vulnerable population as is. They're severely understudied, and everyone just wants to do the right thing. And I think all of this confusion will inevitably lead to people undertreating fevers, undertreating pain. Not only can that lead to adverse outcomes for future children, and I think it's also something that can lead to mental health issues in women. We know that undertreating pain can lead to worsened depression and anxiety, and maternal mental health is a major crisis in this country.
Yeah, it seems like uncertainty and yet another potential burden for the creators of life here. Dr. Lucky Sekhon, thank you so very much for all your analysis here.